Okay, welcome back to Tankfest 2025. My name's Chris and I'm here with the French Army Reenactment Group. So today we're going to be talking about the French FR-F2 sniper's rifle. The FR-F2 is chambered for 7.62 NATO. It came into service in 1986 after the French had a requirement in 1980 to change from the 7.5, which the FR-F1 was originally chambered for, to the 7.62 NATO. 3,500 rifles were brought in of the 6,000 FR-F1s for the conversion, and this is obviously one of those that have been converted to 7.62 NATO. So moving around the rifle itself then, starting at the back, we have a hard rubber buttstock. We have the original woodwork, which was on the FR-F1. We have an a cheek piece, which there is two of. There's a higher and a lower one. That is obviously brings your head to the level of the scope, depending which scope you want to use. Because there are a few different scopes for the different military uses, whether it be the Air Force, the Marines, the Gendarmerie or the Army. Okay, so moving forward then, you have the pistol grip, the trigger. The trigger has the safety. The safety is a simple, just a trigger block. There it is off and there it is on. That stops the trigger from being activated. Moving on up, you have the bolt. The bolt is cock on opening. It has a two-lug design, and this is because the French, after World War I, were very paranoid about the mud and the possibility of that jamming the rifle. What they did, or what they believed, that is if you use front locking lugs, the mud can get packed into the front of the rifle, stopping it from being chambered and locked. So what they did is they went with the double rear locking lugs. The magazine release is here. Pressing the magazine release lifts this section here, which then disengages the square hole you can see here. As mentioned, 7.62 NATO, 10 rounds. They have a nice little resting cup here on the bottom. That's just a rubber cup to protect the bottom of the magazine, but it also acts as another, potentially as a rest, depending on the situation you find yourself in. Moving on forward again, obviously you've got the case injection opening here. You have another rubber rest here on the bottom, again for putting on a pack, should you want to use that as a rest rather than the bipod. More about that in a minute. Moving on to the plastic shroud. This plastic shroud has multiple functions. Primarily it is to disguise the rifle's heat signature from infrared, because that was just coming in the 1980s. So they wanted to protect the sniper from counter-battery or counter-sniper fire. This is also fitted with a rubber grommet at the front here, again to keep the hot air within this plastic shield to try and minimise the IR signature. Secondly, it does provide a limited amount of protection from shimmer and heat barrage from the barrel, because obviously in front of the scope, and it also gives a nice warm environment for the barrel to ensure that the barrel stays uniform along its length, rather than having cold hot spots, which could potentially cause an issue with warping over sustained fire. At the end here you have a tunable muzzle device. This is carried over from the FR-F1. Bearing in mind the FR-F1 was designed in 1965, came into service in the 1965-66 period. Very advanced for its time. This allows the muzzle device to be tuned for the lands and grooves of the actual barrel itself. Okay, so moving on to the other side then. If you're looking on the top of the plastic heat shield, you have a emergency sights. They have a small amount of iridium paint in them there, so you can use it for night, and they are adjustable for a windage. Moving back, the bipod itself then. The bipod itself is suspended from this sleeve here on the barrel. This allows for the rifle to have a big degree of flexibility when being used as an observation or in a DMR role, by giving the rifle a lot of movement, far more than you would get from any standard bipod where they put them on the front of the rifle. They are also adjustable for height by pulling the little feet down and then just pushing that in to adjust and put it back up again. Put that away. Obviously the sleeve, I don't know if you can see that, the sleeve itself is not on the barrel. The sleeve itself surrounds the barrel and the whole rifle hangs off the bipod essentially. So that is again aids the accuracy because it is a free floated barrel, and the last thing you want to do is start hanging stuff off the barrel, because that'll destroy the barrel harmonics. Okay, so moving back again, you have a scope mount, which is bespoke to the FR-F1 or FR-F2, depending which rifle you're using, and they are capable of taking different types of mounts, whether it be Weaver or Picatinny or this bespoke 806 sight. So they did have an APX 806 specific sight for the FR-F2, which should be APX 806 4. If it was APX 806 3, that would be for the FR-F1. It's all to do with the what we have here is the bullet drop compensator, this one on the side. This is calibrated to the actual bullet itself, so in this case it's 7.62, and that is separated into 50-metre intervals out to a range of 800 metres. And by turning that, that allows the needle in the centre of the sight to rise up and down to allow for any deviations of range and bullet drop over distance. This is for the windage. You have a sun shield, which it can be rotated for angles of the sun. You have a nice rubber eye soft here, just to give you that standoff from the sight and correct eye relief, is the word I was looking for. Here you have a lever which disengages the sight. By disengaging the sight, because you've taken the whole unit, it does retain 0, so once it's removed you can put it in your pouch. You can bring it back up again, and knowing that it will retain 0 between exchanges. Finally, you're moving on to the bolt itself. As you can see at the back of the bolt there, we have a D and an M. That stands for montage and demontage. That is pretty much the only stripping you can do. When you remove the cheek piece, you can then remove the bolt. You can't do it on this one because it's deactivated to UK spec. At this point you would then pull the trigger, this would slide out fully, and then you can remove the end cap, which exposes the spring, spacer, firing pin, etc. The FR-F2 is, just looking for anything else. The only other thing I haven't mentioned is here there is the black dot. Inside here is a nut, and this allows you to put a spacer piece in, depending on your length of reach for the rifle itself. That pretty much covers the rifle. The rifle itself then was introduced in, like I said, 1986. It served all the way up to 2018, where it was replaced by the Scar Heavy PR. This is due to the fact that they wanted a rifle that was capable of semi-automatic fire, which obviously the bolt action FR-F2 is not. I think that covers it. Any questions?
Yeah, I mean they were very popular in service, weren't they?
Yeah, I have not met anybody who's ever operated one of these that have said much bad against it.
Yeah, I mean it also, I think, to me makes a change from our regular discussion on French weapons, which is massively over-engineered. But this time it's massively over-engineered and it works.
Yeah, it's a very well thought out rifle. I mean, it does help that the rifle is, or the main majority of the rifle is a 1965 design.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with a 1980s front end, but that was only the barrel, the chamber. There's not really much you can do wrong with that. You know, its gestation period is of an extraordinarily long way.
They've got the time to fix things, haven't they?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And what was the scale of issue of these?
The scale of issue, I mean, like I said, there was only 3,500 within the French Army complete.
Yeah.
So they were generally issued on down to an infantry section level, depending on requirements.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Once again, thank you very much for giving up all your time at Tankfest.
No worries.
Well, at least now it's nice and quiet as we're at the end of day 3, and everyone's going for the quick journey home.
Exactly, yeah.
So
everyone's hoping for a safe journey.
Yeah, and thank you very much again for your time.
No worries, thank you.